The genesis of a project is both the client and the architect. And there are many times where the client is clear they just want a box with some windows in it. With museums, opera houses, places where people gather, especially where people gather for entertainment, you want oomph. You want something spectacular, you want something different. There is no greater thrill than walking down the street and seeing your project right there and know that it will be there for a long time, and being able to say to someone, that's my building, or I worked on it. If girls are truly interested in architecture, or even the slightest interest, they should make things. Whether it is with sticks or with a computer, as long as you're playing with something three-dimensional, something physical, where you put something together, being comfortable with making things is what sets you apart.
AIA architects work collaboratively with a wide range of design and construction professionals to implement an imaginative, sustainable, and technically sophisticated approach to each opportunity to design our world. Before we can begin to design a building, we meet with the client to assess specific wants, needs, and general functionality so that we can document a plan for all building and space requirements. We review the full range of regulations to identify all health, safety, and welfare requirements. We assess site conditions and legal limitations for development, including zoning and environmental regulations. We analyze existing architectural forms, the scale of the building, how it relates to the city and pedestrians, and existing infrastructure like transit and utilities. We study all lines of sight and overall visual impact to enhance user experience. We consider how sun path strongly influences orientation of the building to maximize daylight and minimize operational costs. As we determine the orientation of the building and begin developing a design, we carefully consider how people will experience the building, circulate within it, and get out of the building. We develop numerous conceptual designs to fully explore possibilities, while considering a wide range of building science issues like water management, keeping water out, directing it away from the building, and potentially reusing for the surrounding landscape. We analyze wind loads, seismic activity, handicapped access, and other factors that directly affect the health and safety of the public. We work to capitalize on prevailing winds, airflow, and air quality, as well as maximizing daylight to lower operational costs. We integrate technologies that will complement the efficiencies of the design. To construct the design, we prepare comprehensive documents for the contractor and for obtaining all required approvals. These start with the architectural plans, elevations, construction details, and detailed technical specifications. We work with our engineering consultants to develop coordinated plans for the engineering systems, such as structural, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Integration gets pretty complicated. We have to think about integration in all four dimensions, including how the systems are installed. We utilize technology to help us find clashes in the systems. Once the instructions for construction are completed and all permits are issued, we help our clients interview contractors and discuss the technical aspects of the project. We coordinate numerous inspections to ensure the building complies with code and regulations, and manage change order requests and monitor all costs to ensure an on-budget completion. Once construction is completed, we reconcile all the changes that were made to the design during construction and provide our clients with a final set of as-built construction documents that the client can rely on and reference for the life of the building. We don't walk away there. We can help our clients implement a maintenance and operations plan that will keep the building operating efficiently to retain its value. We spend 95% of our lives in buildings. Architectural design has an enormous impact on the quality of every aspect of our lives. AIA architects are committed to providing the full range of services to guide our clients through every aspect of the design and construction process.
A friend said to me the other day, architecture is a great profession and a horrible business. At times, I tend to agree. What's great about the profession is what architecture is in history, what it aspires to be in the future, and most of all, what the training and doing exposes one to in life. Architecture is about many things. As I've said before, it's about making form, story, music, and inspiration. It's also about illuminating one's life with philosophy, sociology, psychology, material science, engineering, mathematics, history, construction, and in the end, making something out of nothing. These are the reasons architecture is a great profession that can enrich your life. That said, I've heard many complaints that the business of designing buildings, running an office, and keeping an architectural firm solvent can simply be overwhelming. This can also be very true. From my experience, the education of an architect prepares one to become a designer. But it may be that you simply do very little design work as an architect. The truth is, design is really a very small part of what the architect does. And unless you're in the rare position that you can dictate that design is what you focus on most, you could be in for quite a shock. As I've discussed in other videos, the job of an architect involves doing a lot of technical drawing as well as research. It also involves an incredible amount of coordination and organization. Being an architect may also require polished people skills. The architect can work with large numbers of subcontractors and consultants, and should be able to work well with other people, particularly contractors in the field. Not to mention their most important job, managing the client. The architect also needs to be able to manage the business and employees if they've got them. In fact, all these jobs can be exactly what an architect does, with no time for design at all. This is why the business of architecture can be so different from the profession and, in the end, for some, unfulfilling. So, understand, architecture is many things, not just design.
I don't believe in this sort of idea of architecture as some kind of preconceived idea that you try to sort of smash into the world with no regard for how it's going to be used or who's going to be using it. When you're doing a city hall, it's very much about, of course, like a lot of practical issues and the invitation of the public, but it's also very much about the identity, in this case, of a sort of a post-Soviet democracy that really wants to be about political transparency. We're not building for ourselves. We're not building spaces for ourselves. The users are the experts in using the buildings. And if you're doing a library, you need to speak with the librarians. If you're doing an urban space, you have to speak with the local population. We got invited to look at a competition for the City Hall of Tallinn, the capital of Estonia. So we thought, let's put the city council in the tower. Let's give them an incredibly generous space for the political debate. The ceiling is made as a gigantic mirror. So when politicians have to make difficult decisions, all they have to sort of do is look up, and they get this sort of perfect periscope overview of the city that they're messing with. As a side effect, when the angry citizens gather to demonstrate, they get this sort of perfect bird's eye view. They can see if some politicians are sleeping or absent or doing dirty deals or playing Angry Birds on their iPhones. When we're doing a building, we're not just happy with solving a standard apartment and then sort of repeating it 10 times to the left and 5 times up. Then we have like a nice stack, and then we repeat that a series of times. Then you solved only one problem, which is like how to organize an apartment. But you didn't create a community, and you didn't like exploit maybe the views, and you didn't like pay any respect to the neighbors. Our buildings look different because they perform different. What makes the Vancouver Tower look special is that it's maximizing the real estate investment in a very difficult site. The site is totally tortured by this highway bridge. Also, there was a park right next to the site where we're not allowed to cast shadows after 10 o'clock in the morning. So we started mapping the constraints. There's a setback requirement from the street, there's another setback from the highway. Then there's like almost a deal breaker, which is a 30-meter setback from all of the highways, because the city doesn't want anybody living and looking straight out at cars. And finally, because of the park, our footprint is reduced to a tiny 600 square meter triangle, which is almost too small to build. As soon as you know what is this building going to do, you can start, and who's going to be using it, and how they're using it, what is their complaints of where they are now, what are they dreaming about for the future. Then you can start informing your design decisions with information. But we thought, like, since our client owns the whole site, as soon as we come up in the air, we can come back out and basically maximize the amount of the nicest apartments. So basically, as you drive over the bridge, it's like somebody pulling a curtain aside, sort of welcome to Vancouver. Resource consciousness is for the real world. In the design studio, the more garbage you produce in the design process, the less garbage you end up building. And in that sense, following what you enjoy in many ways is what could turn into something that could be read as talent or capacity.